Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris, man. And as always, I thank you for coming to my channel. Now my cat wants to make a lot of noise. Go on back in there and take care of them babies. Go on. Yeah, get in there. Okay. I thought about this just a moment ago. And it was something that took place when I was a youngster or a young teenager or a young man. I think I was like in my maybe 22. And I just thought about that story for some reason, and it pissed me off because as you think back on some stuff, it's like, that was some bullshit. I mean, really. You know, like Vlad from Vlad TV said, people ain't shit. And I'm like, I agree. Not all, but most. And here's a story to prove that. I've always been a giving person throughout my entire life. And I had a 1978 Chevy Monte Carlo. That was my favorite car. And at this stage of my life, I've had many cars. That was my favorite. For those who don't, to give you a visual of idea what car that was, it's the same car that Denzel Washington drove in Training Day. Slick ass car. What was so cool about that car was it was a mid-sized car. It wasn't real big and wasn't real tiny. And under that hood was a V8 engine. Now, I don't even think you can get V8 engines even in big ass trucks. I got a big truck out front and I think that thing 4-cylinder, you know? And that Monte Carlo used to move out. And what happened was I was working nights at the time at Jewel Food Store. Had my car parked in the lot. Nobody in the lot but the guys inside with me. All of a sudden, my boss said, "Come to the window, man, come to the window." So I ran to the window. This motherfucker was drunk coming down the street. Veered off the street, came over the sidewalk, came over the little concrete thing, went into the parking lot, and smashed my shit up. I was mad than a mother, you know. And what made me mad was this asshole was drunk, you know. And my manager had to hold me because I'm about to go out there and whoop his ass. I'm like, I'm about to beat the shit out this motherfucker, you know. And this is before mandatory car insurance, so it's like, he smashed up my fender and my door and took his ass to court. And the lawyers was trying to, because, the police came and they hauled him off to jail because he was drunk. He had beer cans in his car. So took him to court. And I remember when I went to court, I think the first time I went to file and there was lawyers out there handing out cars, I handled your case. And in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't. Because one lawyer had the honesty and integrity to tell me, he said, you don't need no lawyer because this is what's going to happen. And that's what happened. He said, you're going to go in there, you're going to win your case. Then he's going to turn around and file bankruptcy and you ain't going to get shit. And that's exactly what happened. I won, didn't get shit. You know, so I was glad he kind of tipped me off on that instead of me hiring a lawyer, paying him, then losing, you know. I doubly messed up and mad. So I was in so much love with that car because I'm like, I cried when that dude hit my car because I'm like, I ain't gonna never find one this, that ride like this because this car was so in good condition. And you know you got a good car when you go to the car dealer to look at cars when the guy that works there, one of the sales guys, is driving the car. He was driving. I'm like, I know this is sound because this dude driving it, the guy that work here. And I remember the look on his face. I never forget it when I pull off the lot. I'm like, yeah, he gonna miss this car and I'm gonna enjoy it. So I tell you that story to get to this story because this is the story. So I was so in love with that car that I went out and bought another one just like it, solely to take the parts off, to take the door off, to take the fender. Because the second one I bought, it was running condition, but not like the one I had. I'm like, I'm about to restore this. I'm about to put the fender on it myself in the door, and I'm gonna get it painted, and I'm gonna be back in business. You know, so it was a daunting task. More than I anticipated, mainly because I did not have the kind of tools that had the kind of torque to get those kind of boats off. So it sat in my mother's garage for like 2 years because I had bought another car, you know, while I'm still trying to get this one done. So it sat in my mother's garage for like 2 years. And I got married, moved out. And then one day I went over there and how did this go first? Because I want to tell it in a sequence that it makes sense. Okay, so it was sitting in my mother's garage. And when I first moved out, you know, you tend to keep some of your personal stuff still at your mom's house, your parents' house. Because I'm like, I'm moving into an apartment. I don't know if somebody going to break in one day. It's going to be a fire. But it was none of those things. I lived in a pretty nice neighborhood. Nobody bothered my car. Nobody tried to attempt to get in my house or my apartment. So I had some important papers still in my mother's house, and one of them was the title to that car. So one day randomly, stopped by my mom's house, because I would just occasionally check in on her since I moved down, like make sure mom okay. So one day I showed up, and the way that my street had been, or my mother's street had been reconfigured by the city was, it used to be two-way. Then they changed it to one-way. So from where I live in the direction I was coming, now I have to shoot past her block and make a right into the alley and then come back around. So as I went through the alley, I noticed these boxes next to my mother's trash can. And I recognized those boxes. I'm like, those are my boxes that I had in the attic. So why the fuck are they out here? And I know my mother didn't move it. I don't even think she realized that they were in the attic. So I stopped. I went through my papers because I kind of knew. I said, I know I got the title to that car in the garage in these boxes. Sure enough, found it. And I come to find out my little sister, who's evil, threw all that shit out. I was like, nobody asked you to. It wasn't in nobody's way. So why are you going with my, And I was really pissed that day, really pissed at her. Because it was absolutely no reason for her to do that. But like I told you, you got some just people that are evil. They don't mind fucking your shit over, and get a kick out of it. So I retrieved those boxes. And at that time, I took them to my apartment because I'm like, you know what? They not safe here, And I'm not worried about, the people on the outside. I got to worry about the people in the inside of this house. So I took the boxes back to my apartment, and I got the title out. And I said, man, I didn't realize, because I was young at the time, when I bought the car, and I was given the title because I paid for it out in cash. I didn't do a payment plan. So the guy gave me the title. I just never got around to changing the title in my name. So I said, you know what? I need to change the title in my name and fix my car, get that car out the garage before next thing I know my sister being pushed it out in the alley. So I went through that process, but I wasn't successful because I couldn't find the guy, because actually he had the title in his name instead of the company name. That's how much he loved that car. And I did eventually find him. And I told him, I said, are you the Jose Salazar that I'm looking for? And I explained to him. He's like, man, yeah. He said, that was like 10 years ago. I'm like, yeah. He said, you still got that car? I'm like, yeah, it's been in my mom's garage. But for some reason, it never got changed over the title. For some reason or not. But so now I got a car that I can't get the title to. So I went back over there, and one of my neighbors that I grew up with, did he still live there at the time? I'm not quite sure. I think he got married and moved too. But he came and he said, man, you still got that car? I'm like, yeah, I can't get rid of it now since I can't get the title over my name. And he said, man, I think he asked me for it. I said, you know what, man, you can have it. Because I'm like, it'd be too much of a trouble to go through all what I'm trying to go through to get the car up and running. And I already got a car. I brought a brand new car. So I'm like, I don't need this one. But it was just a sentimental attachment. So I gave him the car. The only thing he had to do, and this is what he did, he went and got gas put in there, bought a brand new battery or got one out and drove that car out. That car was still drivable, So about 2 years later, I bought a used car because I already had another car, and I bought a used car. And there was some small minor issues with it, and he's kind of an alley mechanic. So I said, I was over there, in my mom's neighborhood, and I see him and said, hey, man, I got some issues with this car. Could you look at it? He looked at it. He said, yeah, this is what's wrong. I said, could you take care of it? He said, yeah. Then the motherfucker charged me. And I thought back, I'm like, ain't this the same motherfucker that I gave a car to less than a year ago? Now he's going to charge me to fix this car. Man, we got short memories. And I went on and gave him the money because I'm like, I know he needed it. But even still, it's the principle. It's like, man, I looked out for you. I gave you a motherfucking car. And that car is a collector's item now. It was a collector's item then. And it still drove. And I ended up paying him to fix the other car when just, again, a year earlier, I gave him a car. I'm like, man. Because I'm like, I'm the kind of guy, most of you guys would do this. Somebody give you a car or something, and then they come back and they need a favor. You got them. It's like, I got you, dude, because I remember 12 months ago, you gave me this. Now he got amnesia. You know, I'm like, ain't that some shit? You know, and I just thought about this story and it pissed me off because I'm like, people ain't shit. You know, they ain't shit. You know, my sister gonna throw important documents away because she's evil like that. And then this dude got amnesia when it comes to looking out for me when I looked out for him. And then later what he did, because I asked him, I said, so what you do with the car? He said, well, since he couldn't get the title neither, he took the engine out and put in another car. And he said, and that car was driving at that time, that the car he put the engine in. But I thought I would share that story with you guys because I'm like, people ain't shit. You know, they just ain't shit. Because I'm like, wow, you know, because sometimes you become a different person because you're forced to. Because if that would have happened today, I would have reminded him like, dude, you got amnesia? Remember that car I gave you? You owe me, mother. So let's get going here. Instead of I'm just letting him go because he needed the money. That ain't my problem, you know. Nobody told me. No, that's not my fault because your pockets are empty, you know. But that was a lot of nerve, you know. And you think back on some things like, this is fucked up. This is really fucked up. And I know I'm not going to monetize this video because I got too many flags with these words, but I had to express the way I had to express myself for that story because I was really pissed off about that story. You know, really pissed off. So I just thought I would share with you guys. And I guess the moral of the story is don't let nobody punk you. You know, don't be too nice of a nice guy because people mistaking that for you weak. Or he weak or I can get anything out of him. No, you can't. And like I told you after that car incident when my so-called 3 ex-friends, you know, nobody came to bat for me. The same guys that I go to bat for them on a every other month basis almost, several times a month or a year, they come to me. I got you. And I have them. Now when I need something from them, and I've never asked none of them for nothing that I wasn't going to pay for, and I was going to pay them then handsomely. Everybody too busy. Everybody just blew me off. I'm coming today. Nobody never came. Nobody even called to tell me I ain't coming. They're just like, fuck him, you know, fuck him. So I'm like, okay, fuck you back now. That's the new Morris, man. You know, you get exactly what you put in. When you bullshit him, he gonna bullshit you. When you got him, he got you. Just that simple. So until next time, take care and thanks for watching.